Hello and welcome to a very special video on My Arabian World's YouTube channel. We would like to invite you to journey through the museum city of Louvre Abu Dhabi and depart alongside us for fabulous tours around the world, traveling back through the centuries as if we were in a time machine. Developed jointly by the United Arab Emirates and France, Louvre Abu Dhabi presents a historical narrative of art that spans the entire history of civilization and emphasizes the shared human experience going beyond geography, nationality, and history. This incredible structure is a beautiful symphony in concrete, water, and subtle play of reflected light, inspired by the region's rich architectural traditions and the museum's unique location where the Arabian sky meets the sands of Saadiyat Island and the waters of the Arabian Gulf. As one of the premier cultural institutions located in the heart of the Saadiyat Cultural District on Saadiyat Island, this art lover's dream displays works of historical, cultural, and sociological significance from ancient times to the contemporary era. Considered one of the modern urban wonders of the world, Louvre Abu Dhabi is not only the Arab world's first universal museum, but also a powerful symbol of the United Arab Emirates' ambition and achievement. The museum encompasses 9,200 square meters of galleries, including a permanent gallery and a temporary gallery, enriched by loans from notable French museums including Musée du Louvre, Musée d'Orsay, and Centre Pompidou. Louvre Abu Dhabi was designed by Pritzker Prize-winning architect Jean Nouvel as a museum city featuring 55 detached buildings inspired by the architecture of traditional Emirati houses. The centerpiece of Nouvel's vision is a huge silvery dome that appears to float above the museum city. Despite its apparent weightlessness, the dome weighs around 7,500 tons. That's about the same as the Eiffel Tower in Paris. Inspired by the cupola, a distinctive feature in Arabic architecture, Nouvel's dome is a complex geometric structure composed of 7,850 stars. These stars are repeated at various sizes and angles in 8 different layers. As the sun passes above, its light filters through the perforations in the dome, creating an enchanting effect within the museum known as the Rain of Light. One of the most compelling aspects of this museum isn't the individual objects and artworks, but the way they're curated, running chronologically, telling the story of humanity in 12 chapters. So let's begin our walk through the different galleries and set in motion our journey through time. From its original birthplace in East Africa, mankind took millions of years to spread all over the world, but by around 10,000 years ago, various areas of the world underwent climatic and environmental changes that led the previously nomadic human communities to domesticate plants and animals and create the first villages. A little over 50,000 years ago, the first agricultural societies crossed a major threshold with the appearance of kingdoms and cities. The emergence of dominant figures like the priest-king of Mesopotamia and the pharaohs of Egypt based their right to exercise power over society as intermediaries between humanity and the gods. Writing was founded in the first cities founded in Mesopotamia, Egypt, the Levant, and China, making it possible to record the history of societies and preserve their memory. The rise of great powers also marked the creation of authentic kingdoms, whose rivalry led to the rise of conflict and war. This period is known as the Bronze Age, due to the widespread use of weapons made of copper and tin. Warriors began to ride horses, an asset of major historical impact, which accelerated long-distance trade, increased the size of kingdoms, and broadened society's horizons. Technological progress intensified and specialized economic production, population growth, and monumental architecture generated an unprecedented social and cultural melting pot beneficial to trade and innovation. Vast cultural and political communities formed on most continents about 30,000 years ago. The lasting imprint they left on their territories stimulated the cultural diversity that still defines the outlines of the great historical areas of civilization. The conquest of Alexander the Great, connecting Asia and Europe, appeared to have inspired a move towards political unification, which led to the formation of immense empires. The evolution, encounters, and clashes of these empires stimulated artistic and philosophical fusions whose influences are still felt today. The spread of the great religions with universal ambitions that began 2,000 years ago radically transformed the old order inherited from the ancient world. Proposing a new form of transcendence and salvation for all, Buddhism, Christianity, and Islam rose as missionary religions that in just a few centuries spread across most of the territories of the civilizations in Eurasia and Africa. These religions shared the idea of monotheism but differed on issues such as the representation of the divine. Universal religions all had their roots in ancient religions as they expanded. They conflicted with each other and clashed with other beliefs. Religions from that time on had become a factor that unites communities and influences intellectual and artistic activity across continents. The expansion of universal religions paralleled the establishment of vast trading networks between Africa, Asia, and Europe. Through the formidable trading networks that became known as the Silk Roads in the 19th century, dialogue was established in medieval times between the great civilizations of the Middle Kingdom, the Indian and Islamic worlds, and the West. These overland and maritime links between China and the Mediterranean by way of Arabia, India, and Central Asia are among humanity's oldest trade routes. Used by pilgrims and conquerors, as well as merchants, they not only brought the civilizations of this vast geographical area into contact, but also transformed them through the circulation of ideas, knowledge, and forms of artistic expression. A melting pot for the cultures of Christianity, Byzantium, and Islam, the Mediterranean basin in the Middle Ages served as a focal point for commercial and cultural routes from across Asia and Africa. The Iberian Peninsula, known as Al-Andalus by the Arabs, became a fertile terrain of cultural interchange. Hispano-Moresque art, thinkers like Averroes of Cordoba, and Andalusian poetry represent an unprecedented cultural synthesis with a lasting impact in the Islamic world and on European arts. Elsewhere in Europe, competition between Christian kingdoms and flourishing trade appears to have been the constant driving force of development and technology, as well as commercial and cultural activities. At the end of the 15th century, improvements in navigation enabled Christopher Columbus to sail across the Atlantic Ocean and reach America in 1492, and establish contact for the first time between the civilizations of Eurasia and the Americas. With the voyages of the Moroccan Ibn Battuta, the great maritime expeditions of the Chinese Zheng He, the Genoese Christopher Columbus, and the Portuguese Vasco da Gama, direct connections were established between cultures and civilizations that up until then had been unknown to one another, establishing networks of exchanges on a truly global scale. The great expeditions were made possible by unprecedented scientific and technological advances, such as the development of mathematics, the building of fast and lightweight vessels, and the creation of navigational instruments. In Europe, princes, scholars, and lovers of science collected exotic objects and hybrid articles brought back by the new international trade in cabinets of curiosities, which eventually led to the Universal Museum we see today. The great voyages and discoveries of the 15th century opened up new horizons for societies and offered them a new vision of the world. Contact between different worlds led to unprecedented rivalry between sovereigns, which manifested itself simultaneously on all the continents from Europe to China, by way of the Muslim empires and the kingdoms of Africa. As the embodiment of a state, rulers were required to embark on ambitious programs that combined their religious, military, and economic power in order to stabilize or enlarge their circles of influence. Prompting a newfound concern with the symbolism and expression of prowess and power, the resulting objects and images were used by rulers to communicate with their peers and subjects alike. The circulation of goods and people experienced unprecedented acceleration during the modern period. In just 3 centuries, new systems of global exchange and the emergence of new empires transformed societies and territories, resulting in enormous displacements of people, either due to slavery, economic migration, or war. Quickening the pace of cultural, material, and spiritual transmission, these disruptions and transformations also facilitated social and cultural exchange within and between empires. The magnificence of princes was expressed in the display of the symbols of their power and in majestic representations of their person and court. Codified compositions such as the triumphant king on horseback presented the monarch in all his power and glory. Sovereigns competed for the finest artists, commissioned new decorative works, and spent huge sums on the building of palaces like Versailles and churches of unprecedented size. At the same time, academies were founded to develop and govern the arts as instruments at the service of the ruling class. Warfare was a constant factor in the life of kings, and numerous treatises on the art of war describe the kinds of weaponry and armor used by army divisions, as well as principles governing their use. In the modern era, the armor of rulers became ceremonial attire, recalling their role as protectors of the people against hostile powers. In the new worldwide economy, the affluence of princes spread to an ever-growing section of society. Trade made quantities of exotic goods accessible to more and more people, not only in Europe but also in Japan and the great cities of the Islamic world. This recent and relative prosperity manifested itself in the evolution of taste and the multiplicity of fashions. The 18th century was characterized by the sophistication of the decorative arts in the furnishing and decoration of houses, as well as personal adornment and dress. Open to a whole range of sources of inspiration, craftsmen and artists readily appropriated foreign themes, techniques, and objects to develop their own creations. On all continents, the arts reflected the new importance attached to the private sphere, the individual, and the family, in which women gradually acquired a new status. Europe was conquered by the Enlightenment, a philosophy of progress that spread an idea of reason and personal freedom, according to which every individual can play a part in history, as illustrated by the American and French revolutions at the end of the 18th century with Napoleon and Washington. Economic competition between nations in Europe gave birth to the Industrial Revolution. The technical progress initiated in Britain at the end of the 18th century spread it across Western Europe in the 19th and quickly shaped a new world projected towards the future, embodying modernity. Continuous technical and scientific progress fueled artistic creation, as illustrated in particular by the World's Fairs, showcases of economic and political power, and demonstrations of technological achievement, know-how, and rivalry. There, the general public discovered the world in all its cultural and artistic diversity, but also its capacity for dialogue. Born in 1839 out of the Industrial Revolution, photography revolutionized artistic creation, prompting painters in Europe then around the world to drastically alter the way they capture images and interpret reality. A major sculptor of the 19th century and the founding father of modern sculpture, Auguste Rodin was an unconditional admirer of the works of antiquity. The radical changes caused by the Industrial Revolution were amplified in the 20th century. At the same time, however, the trauma of 2 world wars, decolonization, the internationalization of cultural phenomena, and their criticism all undermined the certainties of modern Europe. The arts became subject to constant questioning and reinvention, producing radical movements such as Cubism, abstraction, and the imaginative universe of the Surrealism. As attested by artists through videos, installations, and performances, telephony and television brought people into contact simultaneously all over the world, transforming roots and territories and juxtaposing individual and collective narratives. Made of thousands of translucent filaments, For the Air by Austrian artist Susanna Pritzker is an almost immaterial work that engages with the museum's architecture, its atmosphere, and its unique light. This immersive piece envelopes visitors in its maze-like folds, allowing them to become active participants in the work. Coming from all over the world, they embody the universal ambition of the museum and thus partake in both a unique and collective experience, just like the human condition. Louvre Abu Dhabi is much more than a seemingly floating dome structure. It's a place for people of all ages and all nationalities to gather, a place to share experiences and ideas. The museum is a meeting place for a medley of cultures and religions. Beneath its lacy steel dome, sheltered from the desert heat, we've discovered the vast and unbounded immensity of human experience. Its architecture engages and prompts us to play an active part in the discovery. The building is here to arouse curiosity, encourages us to go in search of new ideas and new people. Louvre Abu Dhabi is a place of stories, of works of art, and of the people who give birth to them, as well as a place to contemplate the ways in which we are all connected. The values and identity of the Louvre Abu Dhabi are based on discovery, exchange, and education. The ultimate reason of journeying through the Louvre Abu Dhabi is for us to discover how art developed in different cultures and civilizations across the world, all while exploring the connections between them, making the museum truly universal, going beyond geography and nationality. No photograph, video, or book can really convey the emotions the reality produces as to the scale of the space in relation to that of a human being, or the light, or the succession of discoveries, the thresholds, the perspectives and frame views, or the different times of day and their emanations. After one visit, the Louvre Abu Dhabi will help you realize that we have more in common than we know. We invite UAE visitors and residents alike to pay a visit to the Louvre Abu Dhabi and witness Pritzker Architecture Prize winner Jean Nouvel's monumental masterpiece designed to look as if the future has landed. We hope our tour of the Louvre Abu Dhabi will attract our viewers and visitors from across the world and inspire your curiosity and excitement, invigorate your minds and souls, and draw our world with all its infinite potential ever closer together. Thank you for watching. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel.